same page on how we would want things to run moving forward. So does anyone have any questions, or is anyone, I guess we're still admitting people, so we'll let people join first.
Natalie, would it be useful for us to just put our names and affiliations in the chat? That way you don't have to try and capture that necessarily in the in a document. You can have that captured in the chat.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That would be great. I guess, I'll just translate that in the chat so people joining can do that. Okay. And I guess Nikki and Vanessa, would you guys mind giving, I guess, a short introduction about where your affiliations are from and like what role you guys will be playing in this group?
Sure. So I am BINA, BioImaging North America, for those that don't know what BINA is, program coordinator, and we are going to be sort of a little bit in the sidelines, just trying to help with the logistical side of things and to help develop a little bit of a template for how these sorts of projects could move going forward. So we're here to help provide some logistical assistance, and if needed, we can help take some notes occasionally and so on. But it's primarily sort of on a fly on the wall type approach, so that again we can try to develop some best practices around how to pull together these sorts of efforts. Vanessa, do you want to do a quick intro as well?
Hi, I'm Vanessa. Nikki covered it all. We're just here to help with logistical support, but glad to be here. And I'm the BINA program administrator. I'm based in Madison, Wisconsin.
Nice to see we have so many people joining from all over the world. It's wonderful.
Maybe Tor, you could introduce yourself as well.
Hi everybody, my name's Tor Masters. I work for the Royal Microscopy Society. I know I can recognise a few names actually, the people that are attending, and I can see Michelle on the screen. Hi Michelle. Yeah, so the RMS are going to be assisting with the meetings moving forward. So we're going to be helping with the Zoom and basically providing any administrative support that the organisers need really to help this get going.
So Natalie, if you like, I could explain what we're thinking with the Google Documents. Is that a good next place?
That would be great. Yep.
All right, so let me get the link again. So what we've, as Natalie said, since the last meeting, we've spent most of our time behind the scenes trying to find some common ways, talking with Nikki and Vanessa and Tor about the best way to set up this group so that everybody, I guess, so things can move forward well. And I think there's many different ways we could do this. So it took us some time to kind of sort things out. And we've come up with a solution, but we are certainly open to any feedback. We'd really like to use this as a template for BINA and other groups of, good practices in setting up user groups. So I put a link in the chat there, and the way we've decided to do it is rather than having a website, we're going to have this master Google document, which is going to have links to other documents. So you can see there's one link there now for the ongoing user group notes. So each time we have a meeting, we're just going to add, so it'll be like ongoing minutes from the different meetings. So if you go to that document, you'll see that we have the notes from the last meeting, and then we'll take notes today as well. We haven't integrated the chat comments into that document yet, but we can do that for today and for July 20th. So we'll take, for instance, the attendance from the chat today and use that to record who was at the meeting. So right now what we're thinking is that we'll have an Excel document, which we talked about the last time we were together, where we'll have a worksheet on different dyes, a worksheet on fluorescent proteins, a worksheet on reagents. And the idea will be that people can put in content there and then comment, that, this reagent didn't work, this reagent's great, this lot number seems to be off, that type of information. And we can also start collecting information on fluorescent proteins and fluorescent dyes that people recommend. And, we can include references to protocols or papers and so on. We'd also like to have a document with publications, and maybe that's something we could, as a group, curate a little bit. So maybe, reviews, protocols for working with tissue, protocols for working with C. elegans, different types of organizations. So it's not just a straight out list of papers, but more structured. And then also a document with protocols. And these could all be in the same Excel document as well. We can, see what's the best way to organize that. And then we're hoping in the future we might go to a more advanced database where we could, have it searchable and maybe have it available more broadly on the web for the larger community. So, so right now we haven't started those documents, but that is the plan. If anybody feels interested in helping us get those going, let us know. But the idea will be to just start those up and then start populating them. And they can be populated based on the different topics and people who've spoken at the meeting as well. Do you want to add anything there, Natalie?
No, I think you covered all of it. And I think one more thing to add is we're still looking. We have 1 or 2 volunteers for those who, I guess, want to run the parallel in the Asia and Pacific time zones. And so we're working to, I guess, formulate probably a team for that group. And so we'll try to parallel things and make sure that what they have access to or what they gain from their meetings will also be able to have that in our database as well, and vice versa.
Yes, so we haven't talked with those groups yet, but the idea was they could either watch the videos if we have people presenting at our meeting, or we could watch videos of people presenting at their meetings, or we could just have the same topic and have different presenters and then share the video. So the video from our last meeting, as well as the video from today, we're going to work with Tor and the RMS to get those up on a YouTube channel, so that I know several people have reached out to have access to the recording from the last meeting. So we'll make those available hopefully in the next week or so. And then I think maybe what we could also talk about today is a little bit about the format of the meetings. So we had one person who had mentioned they might speak today, but I don't see them here. So so we don't have a short 10-minute talk. I thought that was a nice format last time, and just from those short presentations, I know I certainly gained a lot of information. So maybe we could just open it up a little bit if people like that format of just having 3 short presentations with Q&A, or we could also focus them a bit more. I know George Campbell, I know you had sent some suggestions where we could maybe focus the the presentations in specific areas of interest for people rather than just, you know, having three people talking about diverse topics to maybe focus them in a little bit. So maybe I'll just open it up if there's any comments.
It might be good rather than just relying on volunteers. So having run a couple of expansion microscopy sessions now, or work groups or whatever, one of those was for RMS last year, and there are quite a few people doing it, and it will, you know, they might not know about this group because they might not have seen it being advertised on the networks, etc. And it might be quite good to actually deliberately target some of those people and get them to give a short talk about what they're doing in terms of expansion microscopy in their labs. Obviously there's the Boyden lab, but there are quite a few other labs around the place. So George Buersdorf has got some really nice stuff, for example. Joshua, I've forgotten his last name. You know, I mean, there are, and there's a few people in Europe as well. So it just might be nice to, you know, because it can be the postdocs, and that doesn't have to be the PI, but just sort of saying tips, or as George says, if you want to focus on doing organisms, doing cells, difficult things where you can't digest away because it's plants or something.
Sure. Yeah, would you be open to maybe just sending Natalie and I a list of a few of the people you would think we should reach out to? I certainly would like to make this as much of a community effort as possible, and I think one of the things we see as a real advantage is not duplicating efforts and really trying to bring the whole community together. So, and I love the idea that, you know, students and postdocs are usually the ones actually doing the experimentation. So giving them an opportunity to talk to the group and share from their direct experience is a really great idea too. And it's good for them also to be invited to an international audience to share their work. So it's a great idea. So I think from my perspective, I like the idea of these short 10 or 15-minute talks, because I know I found with the virtual meetings, just going to seminars online, oftentimes the seminar takes up the whole hour and then there's just one or two quick questions at the end. So I think for me, I guess I would make a mental note to make sure we keep it very interactive and have a lot of time for discussion. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, isn't it? Because I mean, a bit like you, I've got a student coming, a master's student, who's going to focus on expansion microscopy next year, and we've had a play. We know it's difficult, but we want to find out how to do it better, and the only way to do that is to have somebody actually really focused on it. We've got various things that just sort of sharing what you're doing with other people, finding the best way, pre-labeling, post-labeling, what type of digestion works, all kinds of different things that, and being a bit more, sort of systematic about what you're actually trying and really working out what works. And what I really like to say with my Journal of Microscopy editor's hat on is perhaps we could actually even produce a few short protocols for the journal, which might be useful for people as well, because it's great that we all listen to this, and we might have some Google Doc that we can all look at, but it'd be quite nice to expand that out and make it a bit more available. Would be nice.
Great idea.
But short talks and capturing that discussion, brilliant, because that's, how do you do that thing? I've tried that, and that's what you want, isn't it?
I think a really useful resource is what doesn't work. The failures tell you a lot more than the successes. Everyone publishes their best samples, their best protocols, but there's things that go wrong that sometimes get omitted in that. And, if you have too much oxygen present, your gel doesn't set up. So things to help first-time users avoid those pitfalls would be really useful.
I could see that being a nice article,
Yeah.
right? Not a protocol, but a cautionary
Journal
tales.
Negative results. Yeah.
Well, it's we're so conditioned to hiding all that, and presenting the success story, right?
Yeah.
And I think we end up wasting a lot of time, right, by not sharing the struggles, because that's really where we can help each other a lot. So I think this could be a nice way to kind of change the dialogue, right? And especially with the younger researchers, we should just get into a practice of sharing that, and these 10 failures led to this success,
Yeah.
Just sort of I think really change the culture around that,
So I mean, I can email you some names, but actually you could have a Google Doc where people could suggest names in there as well. So
we could. That's a great idea. Why don't we create a page on the Excel sheet, suggested speakers, and you could just put their name, their email, and maybe a couple of notes about what
they might talk about.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and create that Excel document shortly after this meeting, I think, because I don't think it'll be a lot of effort to create it. And then, as I say, I'd like to think about whether we could make it a more searchable database, but maybe for something a little further down the road.
So obviously there are quite a few papers out there now, and there's a great big book on expansion microscopy as well, which I happen to have a copy of. But quite often things pop up on bioRxiv, I guess probably at the point of being submitted somewhere. And those can be quite useful as well. So I don't know whether you want to have a sort of rolling, almost Twitter feed of, so I get most of my e-talk alerts now.
That's great, yeah.
But maybe that's also something that you could consider kind of collating, if there's or distributing out, there's a new bioRxiv paper, what do we think? I mean, you could even have a little, if you didn't get volunteers to talk, you'd even have a little journal discussion or something, or paper discussion.
Yes, oh, that's a good idea too, yeah. I feel like one of the ways we could maybe get started is to come up with ideas of topics, like you had mentioned a few there, Michelle, like pre-post labeling and things like that. And maybe we could come up with a list of topics and then find people who might like to speak to that topic, and maybe formulate it like a program for the next 8 months. We'll cover these 8 topics. And I know for me personally, we've just put in an order for the Zeiss lattice light sheet. And I'm really interested in standard.
We've got one. We've got one.
Excellent. There you go. Come over and you can show us how to use it.
It's actually really interesting. If you have to, it's a completely different beast.
Yeah. I'm really excited to get going on it. But one of the things I haven't seen a lot, and maybe I haven't really dug deep in the literature, but is the validation of the expansion. And how people are doing that in different types of samples, and is there a way we can streamline that a bit? And I mean, my dream is always that I'd have a sample I'd pop on the microscope in the morning and validate everything and and then get going right after I have my coffee. It would tell me everything's good.
Yeah, there are a few papers around that. So the good expansion microscopy papers do tell you how they validated the expansion. There are a number of different, I mean, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you all the details, but there are a number of different ways. So, for example, taking an image of the same field of view before and after expansion. When we had our expansion microscopy workshop last year, a lot of people really recommended doing that, but that comes with its own challenges. I think there may be a couple of other methods that people have done to try and validate.
I've heard some people use the actin ring structure and neuronal samples as a real like a micrometer, in order to calibrate that way. Like, 'cause not just looking pre and post, but really structures that are of known size or distance.
I think you have to do it in the sample you're looking at, because it might, you might have a method that works for neuronal cells, but it might not work if you're looking at something else where it might be more challenging to get equal.
Yeah, good point.
I think
we use a nuclear pore complex.
Yeah, nuclear pore complex.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing is, even if you don't have equal expansion, if you know what it is, it's not knowing what it is and then making conclusions. But yeah, no, that would be good. That could be a nice topic of a weekly, a sort of topic for discussion, isn't it? How do you validate your expansion?
Yeah, we were just making a note of a few potential topics in the Google Doc, but I think that could be a nice way to go, and then we could just pick a topic for each month and either have speakers or look at a paper or a combination of those. And then we can focus on also reaching out to other groups that may have user groups or running courses or workshops that might be interested in being part of this group. Excellent. So we didn't have much more today. I don't think we've really been working in the background with Nikki and Vanessa and Tor to try to figure out how to organize things. We will have an official sign up, so we'll have a separate. I know we've already collected everybody's information, but we just have an Excel document. So the RMS is going to create a form where people can officially join the user group, and then it'll keep it more centralized. And I think also we'll have all of the privacy protections, I guess, that are within the RMS system, instead of Natalie and I sharing an Excel document with everybody's contact information. So we'll have that. We'll send that around to this mailing list soon, and it would be certainly open to share with anybody else. And then they're also going to take care of setting up the monthly Zoom calls and sending out reminders ahead of time and things like that. So we'll be able to formalize things a bit more that way. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add at this point, Natalie.
No, nothing really. Just for our list of potential topics, do you think it would be beneficial to have that also as an Excel, and then people who are interested in presenting could sign up for that on the side, and then maybe if they have slides, they could, if they don't mind, like including it in a link on a separate column. And then if we see like maybe a week before our the meeting, if nobody signs up, then we can reach out to the list of potential speakers who would relate to.
Right. Yep. That sounds like a great idea. So what I'm picturing is one Excel document, and we're just going to have different worksheets for all these different topics, so that we're not going to a whole bunch of different documents.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great idea. Oh, you're on mute there, Nikki.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry. You're proposing an Excel document rather than a Google Sheet.
No, to be a Google Sheet. Yeah.
Okay. Just I wanted to clarify, just from the standpoint of everybody having access.
Same in my brain, but
yeah, that's fine.
Right.
I had in the notes we had sort of tried to put them interchangeable, but that sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah. Good to clarify. All right. So I don't think we have to keep anyone longer. It's a short and sweet today, but I think we're getting there, and I think we can focus now on trying to come up with a nice schedule for the fall and winter, and getting our Australasian groups started as well. So we'll try to reach out to them and coordinate to get them set up as well. And of course, like the RMS list and all that can include everybody, and people can go to either meeting if the timing happens to work. If you like late night meetings or early morning meetings, you might want to go to the Asia version. So any other thoughts or comments from anybody, or?
No, I think that sounds like a good plan. I mean, I guess it's a bit slow this time of year because a lot of people are away on holiday, so it's a bit hard to. I mean, I know most of my lab are about to disappear on holiday, and it'll just be me left. But,
I think we can focus on trying to put something together. Although we will have to be on our toes, because that's that first week of September. We'll be here before we know it. And
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we'll see if we can arrange for a couple of speakers for that meeting. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for your time today, and we'll be in touch with more info for the videos and the sign up and all of that. So
thanks so much for setting us up.
Welcome.
Thank you.